Project 3 gives us an opportunity to create a letter using some custom building blocks rather than ones that are already built in to our Quick Parts gallery. So we're going to, again, create our own, and I guess we should mention here why you would even want to be creating your own. As they mention on the bottom of page 93, if you find yourself typing or formatting the same data over and over again, you may want to save that particular data as a building block. And what that'll do then for you is save you time, and it also will reduce the amount of errors that might occur each time that you type that information or apply formatting to it. So we're going to look at saving a variety of types of text. They also mention that you could save a footer or a header text in specific galleries, and then they would always be found in our building blocks organizer. So we are going to take a look at a couple of those in Project 3A that begins on page 95. And I've opened up the file that they've requested. And in this, we're going to use some of the existing information throughout this document, and we're going to create building blocks with the existing information. So this would just be like you had already keyed in a letter or whatever, and you find yourself using the letterhead, either the return address or the inside address. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Probably it'd have to be the inside address or the address block, because we have the information, the return address information in our letterhead. So, and again, we're going to also create a building block that has this text box and all the formats that are within it, as well as the footer at the bottom. So we're going to begin with the text box, which is right in here, and we're going to save that as a building block. So I'm going to select the text box, and then we'll go under the Insert tab in the text group. We're going to click on text box since it is a text box, and notice there's an option in there that says Save Selection to the Text Box Gallery, which is what we want to do. That'll take us into the Create New Building Block dialog box, and the name that we want to add there, we're always going to put our last name to start it, and that'll get it in the appropriate, it'll keep it all grouped together when we look at it through the gallery. So we're going to put in our last name and then FAV Travel, FAV Text Box. And that'll be good. And then we'll just click OK out of that. And we'll go ahead and make a couple of these, and then we'll go through and find them once we've made them. And then at the bottom, the footer, Making Your Vacation Dreams a Reality. Again, that's going to be made into a building block, and we want to make sure that the paragraph symbol is selected there. So I want to turn on the Show Hide button. I just want to make sure that that's all selected. And then since that's a footer, we're going to go to the footer option. Click on footer. Again, I don't know if you can see this at the bottom, but there's a Save Selection to Footer Gallery. So we'll click on that. That brings up the Create New Building Block again. We're going to type in our last name and then FAV Footer. Again, we'll click OK to that. All right, and then the company name, Pacific Cruise Line, and then the address. Since we maybe write to this individual or this company frequently, again, we're going to make that into a building block. So I'm going to select those 3 lines of text, and then again under the Insert text box. And you know what? It's not a text box. So we'll go to Quick Parts, and it's text though. So Auto Text, and then there's an option, Save Selection to the Auto Text Gallery. So we'll click on that. And again, last name is going to begin it, but we'll keep that Pacific Sky on that. All right, then we'll click OK. And then we're going to actually type in some text here that includes our name. So we're going to go a double space below this main address block, and we'll type in our first and last name. And then they suggest that you just down arrow to the next line, and with that we're going to give ourselves a title of Travel Consultant. Not sure why that's highlighted. I think that's spelled correctly. It is. So anyway, and consultant. Make sure I didn't misspell those. Okay, and then those 2 lines are going to be added to a title building block. So we'll select the 2 lines. This time we're going to press Alt F3. That gets us same place that we were before, create new building block. And then we'll have our last name and then the word title. Okay, and then we'll click OK out of that. All right, then the letterhead up at the top, they also want that to be saved as a building block, and this also needs to have a paragraph symbol included after it. So we'll select all of that, including that paragraph symbol. And again, we'll go to the Quick Parts button, and we'll choose the, let's just use this one, Save Selection to Quick Part Gallery. It's not necessarily just text, it's got some other things in there as well. So put in our last name again to start it out, and then FAV. Then we'll click OK to that. Next, we're going to take a look at how we can edit our building blocks that we just created. And in both of the, well, I know we created several building blocks previously, but we're going to look at 2 of those and add additional block properties, building block properties to those, just giving additional descriptions of what each of the building blocks contain. And the first one that we're going to make a change to is the Pacific Sky, which is the name and the address right in here. So that particular building block, we're going to edit its properties. And they actually suggest that we go to a new document for this. I'm just going to click on the new document button, go back into the Insert tab, Quick Parts Gallery, and you'll see the one that's in there. If it's a general, it'll be listed there. Actually, the one that we're looking for, though, is the Pacific Sky. So this one's the Mills FAV. So we're going to go into the Building Blocks Organizer, and it looks like they're in alphabetical order already. So we should go down to the M's, at least for me. Those will all be together, grouped together, because we put it our last name in first each time. Now the one that we're wanting to modify is the Mills Pacific, I can't say that, Pacific Sky. So I'll select that, and at the bottom, Edit Properties. If you can see that or not, but it's at the bottom there, Edit Properties. That'll get us into the Modify Blocking building block. And the description here, we want to add essentially that it inserts the Pacific, I think I got that maybe now, Sky name and address. Okay, so we're just adding a description there. If we wanted to rename it, we could do it there as well. If you wanted to change the galleries, there's a lot of different things there that you can do within that properties box. I'll click OK to that. It asks if you want to redefine the building block entry. We do, so I'm going to say yes to that. Then we also want to modify the letterhead. So this was the one that we saw previously. Let's go ahead and close out of this. We'll go back to Quick Parts, and this is the letterhead that we used. It's called FAV. So we could go back into the Building Blocks Organizer and make that change, or since it's listed here, you can also right-click and choose Edit Properties. That gets you right back to where we were before. And within this, the description now inserts the Family Adventure, Vacations letterhead, including company name and address. So again, we just made some changes there and clicked OK. We'll click OK to get out of that. It asks if you want to redefine it. We do. And now those particular building blocks have been modified. Okay. Now we're going to insert those custom building blocks that we just created. So we're at a blank document. They also want us to change the style so that it's no spacing, and they want the font changed to 11 point Candara. So, and then with that, we're going to insert the letterhead building block as a header. So if we go back to the Insert tab, the Quick Parts Gallery, there's our letterhead, but we want to insert it as a page header. So if you right click on that, you'll notice there's Insert at Page Header. So we'll click on that. That puts it into our header pane pretty quickly, pretty sweet. That's very easy to do. Okay. All right, then we're going to press enter twice. That kicks the insertion point down just a little bit. We're going to type in the current date. Press enter 4 times. Then we're going to put in the individual that we're sending it to, Pacific Sky, Jody Lancaster. All right, and then we want to insert the name of the company, Pacific Sky, and then the address building block that we created earlier. So to do that, again on the Insert tab, go back to Quick Parts. It was Auto Text, and in that, notice now we have the two that we put in there as Auto Text, and we want the one with our last name, Pacific Sky. So we'll click on that. That adds the information that we need that's associated with Jody Lancaster. All right, then we're going to press enter 1 time, and then we're going to put in the information actually from a document that's on our student data files, or in our student data files folder. So to do that, to pull up or pull in an existing file, in the Insert tab, we're going to go to the text group, click on the Object button, and we want to choose the Text from File option. So click on that. And then we need to be in the Chapter 3 folder of our student data files that were sent with the textbook, and we're looking for Pacific Sky letter 1, just right here. Double clicking on that, that automatically pulls in that text, which gives us the greeting line and a couple of paragraphs of information. And it's already a double spaced below that last paragraph, so we're good there. They want us to go ahead and put in sincerely, and then press enter 4 times, and then we'll put in our information that includes our name and title. So again, we'll go back to the Quick Parts, Auto Text, and then our title, and that'll pull in that building block. And then they ask us also to double space underneath this last piece of information, and we type in typically the typist's initials and then the name of the document. So I'm not going to do that, but we are going to pick up again where it asks us to insert the text box. So I'm going to press enter 4 or 5 times here, and the text box, if you'll remember, was a text box obviously. So we'll go back to the text box button, and if we scroll down to the very bottom, there should be a general category, and that's where our building block text box is located. Give it just a minute here to catch up and pull that up. I want you to be able to see it, so hopefully it'll pop up here in just a second. There it goes. All right, and then there's our text box. So that's inserted at the bottom as a text box, and then we're also going to insert the footer that was used before. So we're going to go back to the Insert tab and then Footer, and again there should be a general area. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom here, we'll see General and then our footer. And again, I can click on that, and that puts it in as a footer into our document. So real easy ways once you've already got them created. Just a second. Yeah, once you have them created, to pull in the information and build a letter very quickly. Now in Project 4, they have you creating another letter with the modified building blocks, and I'm not going to go through that step. They have you actually changing your title, our title, to they got a promotion or whatever, to Senior Travel Consultant. So they wanted you to go in and modify those properties again. If you right click, go into Edit Properties, you could modify it here. You would also change the information so that it actually read Senior Travel Consultant, and then you would select these two areas, go back in, create it, a building block, putting your title in at the end of it. So we'll go ahead and let you do that on your own. They also in 4A have you modifying Mr. Mrs. Jody Lancaster, so that the Pacific Cruise Line address also includes her name. So again, you would add Jody Lancaster to the top of this, and then you would select those 4 lines and recreate your building block. And then once you make those changes to those existing building blocks, then they have you creating a new document again. So that's all Project 4A. We've seen some of it before. I'm not going to go through that again. So if you want to do that on your own, feel free to do so. And then 4B picks up with deleting those building blocks that we've just created. So we're going to delete the letterhead first of all. And to do that, again, under the Insert tab, Quick Parts, this is the letterhead. And if you just right click on that, you can organize and delete. And it takes you to your building blocks organizer. It's already selected. Go down to the bottom, click on delete, and it says, are you sure you want to delete it? And you just say yes to that. And they want us to close out of that. And we're going to do the same thing with that Pacific Sky address building block. Again, now this was an auto text. So if you go to the auto text, there's the Pacific Sky. Again, if you right click, organize and delete, that takes you back into your building blocks organizer. You can click delete, say yes to that. And then really, if you just want to stay in here, all of those, if you go to the footer, to your header area, wherever you have those building blocks saved, whether it's auto text or footer or whatever, you can right click on them, go to organize and delete, and it always takes you back to the building blocks organizer. The other thing you can do is just stay in here and delete these particular building blocks from the dialog box, which works just fine. So if I click on the first one, click delete, yes, keeps you right in here. All of them that start with the mills, I'm deleting those out. Mills title, just make sure they're selected, click delete, and then yes to confirm. So either place, I'm going to close out this, you could either go here to your Quick Parts auto text. You can also go to the text box. If you go to the bottom to with the general area, you can right click and choose delete there as well.